Hey, TikTok, what's happening? Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Art of Relationship show. And gonna have a sort of a interesting talk about the 5 love languages. Most people have heard them. I hear, couples all the time. Greg, have you heard of them? Right, I have. But I'm going to go more in depth than are they a myth to help your relationship or marriage, okay? So don't go anywhere. Going to be right back right after the intro, so don't go anywhere. There you are. Okay, welcome to the Art of Relationship show, where I do a live episode every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern time. And for those that don't know, I am Greg Dudzinski. I'm a fully licensed professional counselor, relationship sex specialist, have been for a little over 23 years now, with a lot of grief, a lot of trauma experience with kids, teens, and adults. So anything I can do to help you out, throw your questions down below in the comments section, people, and they don't have to relate to the topic at hand. I always mention this. Hey, Nick, what's happening, man? What's going on? Dave, I appreciate you tuning in as well. Hopefully everybody's doing okay. And, everyone's heard of, or most people have heard of, the 5 love languages, right? And maybe I should get a little promo money for talking about it. But the 5 love languages, I tell people, I'm not necessarily a big fan of, okay? And I'm talking professionally speaking. Now, I'm not necessarily bashing them to a point, and I'm going to get into that in a minute, okay? The 5 love languages, if you don't know, they talk about what areas do you want to feel loved in? What's important to you to feel loved, right? And a lot of people they could be gifts, right? If you're bougie, they could be, affirmations, compliments, that type of thing, situation, acts of service, that type is another one, right? But I tell people, how you want to be loved is different for everybody. So the foundations of the 5 love languages, I tell people, are good, okay? I'll get to the myth later. So how you want to be loved, how you want to be, appreciated, respected, are important to you. And I tell people, most people want to feel, in romantic relationships, right? Most people want to feel loved. They want to feel respected. They want to feel desired. They want to feel like you're a priority, important. Also, that you want to feel appreciated, okay? I think most people want to feel those things in a romantic relationship. Now, and I tell people what those are, not only what they are, the amounts and the frequency of all those aspects are different for everybody, okay? So that's where I tell people it's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's just what it is. So if one person, wants affection, my person must want affection too, because I want it. Everybody does. Not necessarily. They might want you to take the trash out more. Acts of service, right? They might want you to clean the house more. Everybody's different. So they're important to figure out what it is that works for you to feel those things. Loved, respected, desired, important, all those things, right? But they're important. So I tell couples, how do you want to feel loved? What's important to you? And it's not trying to get someone to do something they don't want to do that's not them, right? So it's looking at, you have to know what is important to you to feel loved in those categories, right? And then this is where the myth comes into play that I tell people, right? The 5 love languages might look at, and they assume you have all this in place, and everything's going to be peachy keen. Everything's going to be great. And that's when I tell people the 5 love languages is a myth. It is important to know what each other needs to feel loved. Absolutely. And that's what I agree on, 100%. Okay. So, but 5 love languages does nothing when real life hits and when the shit hits the fan, okay, to repair relationships. To me, it doesn't do anything. It is, it's important to know as a foundational piece, I agree with, okay, but to repair relationships and marriages, it does little to, if anything, to help repair the relationship. They assume, okay, if you do this, you know what, everything's going to be great, terrific. So if you got cheated on, just, how you want to be loved, respected, you do that and everything's going to be great and repaired. No, it isn't, right? When there is a betrayal, I mentioned about cheating, if there is distrust, one person's lying all the time, one person has maybe a gambling challenge, a drinking challenge, that type of situation, okay? So you can look at the 5 love languages and they're not going to do anything to heal that. I'm giving you what I want. I'm giving you what you need. Hey, Chrissy Sherman, what's happening? Again, throw your questions down below, people, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. Hey, Pierre, what's happening? I appreciate you tuning in. AJ, Sonia, what's happening? I appreciate you tuning in too. So, again, throw your questions down below and I'll do my best to answer them, okay? And there's some people that might disagree with me. Greg, my whole philosophy is on the 5 love languages, and they're therapists. They're, they work with couples and all, and I shake my head. Greg, why? What's wrong? And I'll tell them this. I want to try to help. I want people to be better helping people. You get me? Not about arrogance or, not at all. It's about being humble, but also do what works with individuals. So, from a foundational point, the 5 love languages, it is, important. I'm not going to say it isn't. But beyond that, when you try to repair a relationship or when real life hits you, what happens, right? And the big myth is, right? You put these in place and you won't have to worry about problems, right? So tell me when a loved one ends up having, knock on wood, I don't want this for anybody, a loved one has cancer, has terminal illness, that type of situation. One person has, maybe an injury, whatever, and they're on disability, they can't work no longer. One person, a couple, there's infertility issues and challenges going on. And you know what? Tell me how the 5 love languages are going to help solve that and fix that. They're not. So there's a huge myth, and there's been a lot of money, marketing and all this on 5 love languages going on forever and ever, for a long ass time, okay? So that's where I want people to understand, for foundations, I'm not going to say throw it away, but when you have challenges, when you have, life hits you sideways, it's not going to do that much to really help you repair that situation, okay? So that's what my premise is, and that's where I want people to understand, the elements and what is happening to help solve relationship challenges, okay? So that's where I said where, the myths come into play with the 5 love languages. Now, you can look at, and it is important. I want people, I give out homework. I hate the word homework assignments, but I give those situations, paperwork, I call them, to understand this. So, how do you want to be loved? What's important to you? How do you, are you a romantic person? Do you like affection? Do you like joking around? Do you like not only affection, what type of affection do you want? So I'm more specific about getting into the dynamics of how you want to be loved, aka the 5 love languages, right? But you have to go more in depth and be more specific, because, I like affection. I want to know what type of affection do you like, not necessarily for me, but for your partner, so you can teach. You hear people all the time, and I did a episode, you can check that out on on YouTube under, under at Love Guru Greg. So check it out. I did one on touching, talking about this aspect, right? Okay, question, please. Awesome. Yeah, please throw your questions out there. What if your person doesn't have some love language? Oh, same love language as you. My apology. Now, you can balance these out. And I tell people, if they're extreme differences, okay, that don't work for you, then it's going to be tough. I'm going to be honest, because you're going to feel like something is lacking. And there's a lot of people out there, maybe we even do it personally. I'm going to be okay with this if my, crucial element of love language is not met. I'm going to lie to myself and be okay. I'm going to be okay with that, right? I'm going to lie to myself and pretend I'm going to be okay not getting what's crucial to me, to feel loved, to feel desired. And again, nothing's perfect, right? There's desire discrepancies all over the place. So you look at what is good enough for you, but if you are not, say one person likes affection and the other one does not, and we'll use maybe physical affection. Like I said, there's verbal affection, mental, there's all kind of different types of affection, right? So you like affection, we'll say physical, hugs, kiss, that stuff, and the other one's not that way at all. And a lot of people, oh, they're a great person, she's awesome, he's great, so I'll be okay not getting that met. And then people are in my office after 10 years, 5 years, 20 years. I thought she would become more affectionate. What? I thought you were okay with not getting that much affectionate. You knew how I was. And then it just hits a wall, right? And now you're looking at, what do you do? Now you look at, can you talk about if you have different love languages? A lot of people do, but can you talk about what is good enough? Hey, you know what? Are you willing to become more affectionate? Don't assume they're automatically going to. You get me? You have to talk about it. You have to ask, hey, this is important to me. So are you able to learn to become a little more affectionate? And those conversations have to be had. So, and if not, it's going to be tough. Like I said, if it's something important to you, and you're not getting it, it's going to be miserable. Nothing's perfect. And you're not going to have what is most important to you 24/7. That's impossible, because life happens, work, kids. But there's got to be a balance. You have to be getting it often, okay? Hey, Irvin. Hey, what's happening, man? Appreciate you popping on. So, another question. We've been together 6 years. 17 years apart. So I'm assuming 17 years apart is your age difference. I'm assuming. I could be wrong. But yeah, age difference, I tell people, might not have that much to do with, the love languages. It could. But a lot of people will look at, age. Maybe I need to do a episode on age differences, actually. That might be a great idea. Thanks. But I get people 20 years apart, 25 years apart. I look at, other than the obvious, when are going to die first, right? And also, it could come into child rearing, and that's all part of compatibility as well, too, right? You're, 17 years apart, and one wants a child, and the other one is, say, one is 33, the other one's 50, if my math is correct, or close to it maybe. And the 50-year-old is like, I don't want any young kids. And the 33-year-old, that's where the differences come from. But that also, you could have a 33-year-olds, and one wants a kid, the other one doesn't. So you could run into that, but you have to look at compatibility. So going back to the love languages, 17 years apart, might not have any bearing on that. It's looking at what you're lacking, and is that your partner able to pick that up a little bit? Are they able to improve on that? And again, if they're not, you have to ask yourself, are you okay with that? And let's be honest, it's not about lying to yourself. Like I said earlier, it's not about, lying to yourself and making believe that you can be okay with that situation when it's not, okay? So you have to look at, and there's going to be people that are going to tell you need to be okay with that. And I've said it, nothing is perfect. But what is crucial to you, what is most important to you, that you need to feel loved, to feel important, appreciated, those type of things desired, and say you're only getting those 5% of the time, 10% of the time out of your relationship, that's going to be tough. Let's be real. And it's just a matter of time that your tolerance is going to end, and the resentment just builds and builds and builds because you thought you would be okay tolerating being loved the way you want in a certain way. Okay. He isn't big on physical touch, and I am. Now you look at, I would suggest, are you able to talk to him? Hey, touch is important to me. Can you, I'd like to be hugged once in a while. And we know it's not just like, okay, I hugged you. That's 3 times a day. That's all I have to do. That you're hugging, it's out of obligation. It's out of a checklist, right? It's like, okay, we had sex twice this week, check, but you don't feel it. You get me? That there's no behind it. There's no heart and soul. And it's difficult if someone is doing something just out of obligation or a checklist, but they don't feel it when it comes into love, when it comes into marriage and a relationship. You get me? That it's not heartfelt. Now you have to, I'm all about trying to teach somebody. Bring up about issues. Don't bash, don't yell, don't degrade. It's up to a situation to where, hey, touch is important to me, and it always has been, and I don't want to let that go. I don't want to give that up. Are you able to become more affectionate? And then he might be bashing, oh, why is that important to you? It shouldn't be important to you. And you're trying to convince him it's important, and why is that important? And you're back and forth, but it comes down to, where is there a middle ground? Number one, okay. Is there a middle ground to, he can give you the heartfelt affection, holding hands, a hug, a kiss. It might be sexual affection you're looking for too. Then you're looking at, if that's not important to him and he's not able to elevate that, then you have to look at, is this relationship viable for me? Am I spinning my wheels again? A lot of people are stuck. So I don't want to start over. You get me? I don't want to have to date again and all those situations. And then we start getting to a situation where we get stuck, we get complacent. And I get that, right? Starting over sucks for most people. But you also have to look at, are you okay living in the world you're living in the relationship or marriage you're in, okay? Are you okay? And I want you to look at, if it don't change 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, in what is important to you. And that's where a lot of people look at, well, you knew how I was. And, a lot of people, and I'm not suggesting, condoning, I never do. A lot of people end up, they might have an affair, they might cheat, a big distance in the relationship or marriage, and it turns down, the root is, not being loved the way you want. A lot of times, not all times, right? You don't feel loved, you don't feel considered, you don't feel important. So that's where you want to look at, what is most important to you. I'm willing to compromise. He does great for a week after talking it out. Ooh, where'd it go? Let me back it up again. After talking it out, then reverts back. Then, if he does, then you know what? I would just go after a reminder. Hey, you've been doing awesome. I loved it. I loved how much you were reaching out. Hey, let's get back on track. So I would do little reminders, just like that. Don't bash, don't degrade that, don't little thing, and I want him to be able to look at, okay, I want to make sure, I want to check myself to make sure I don't revert back. So it's both of you working together. if you will, you can throw out reminders and not snide comments, right? Oh, here we go again, right? After all this time, I get that, but I do want him to hold himself accountable so he stays more consistent with it. And little reminders can help big time, okay? So that's where I want people to understand and try to help with that. And I would suggest that. And then you look at, is there more consistency? And, maybe professional help, maybe, another, someone that works with couples that actually specializes in couples and doesn't just work with couples. There's a big, big difference, okay? So I would try that and see what happens, because I know it's frustrating. You're like, oh, how long is this going to last? How long is this going to last? And it's hard. It's not easy, okay? And to get back on track, and that's where I would do that, and I would suggest reaching for that and see what happens, okay? But also, hey, this is important to me. It's crucial to me. And then it's going to be like, okay, I'm going to feel like, you know what? I'm not getting this, and it's just not working for me. And it's not a situation to where a lot of people look at, I'm not good enough, right? I'm not good enough. It's not about being good enough. It's about difference, okay? And a lot of people, I get that when we start looking in the mirror, our insecurities come out, right? I'm not getting this because I'm not worthy of love. I don't deserve this. No, it's just different. But now you have to look at if that difference is a deal breaker for you. I can't decide that. I tell couples all the time, I don't live your life. No one lives your life except you do. We can look at, and I can help you challenge yourself in the relationship and marriage to look at, how you want to live, what you can live with, what you can't live with. But that decision comes to you. Hey, Vicky, I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much for joining in. And we're talking about, the 5 love languages and talk about just one. Great question, right? One loves physical affection and the other one not so much. And what do you do with that? And that's, we're just talking about that. So throw your questions down below, people, and I'll do the best I can to answer them. And again, it doesn't have to deal with the topic at hand. Like I said, the 5 love languages, are they a myth? And I got into that a little bit. So make sure you can check out my website too. That's down below, theartofrelationships.org. At LoveGuruGreg, you can follow me all over social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You can check out all my episodes. That's the easiest place to look at all my episodes on YouTube at LoveGuruGreg. Oh, you're very welcome. I appreciate you and your question, okay? It's a great question. So, going back to, like I said, the foundations of the 5 languages are good. You need to know, like I said, most people, and I sort of break it down, want to feel loved, want to feel respected, desired, important / a priority, and appreciated, right? And we could go back down to, how you want to be appreciated. And that's where I want people to do more, even writing them down, okay? Like I said before the question came up, I give people papers to take with them. I hate the word homework. I give them papers to go over this stuff to be more specific, to get away from the generalization, to get more specific on what these things mean to you. What type of affection? What does that look like, right? Do you want, hey, Rebecca, hey, what's going on with you? So that's where I look at, those situations to be more specific. What type of affection do you want? One person's assuming physical affection, hug, man, why are you all over me, right? Well, you said you wanted more affection. Oh, I meant compliments, affirmations. Those can be affectionate too, right? And a lot of people look at affirmations, part of the love languages, but again, affirmations, they can be physical too. So I want you to be more specific about what that means if you want affection. What type of affection? How do you want to feel appreciated? Some people want simple, oh, thanks. Thanks for taking the trash out. Oh, thanks for doing that. I appreciate that. Those type of things. And some people want, they'd rather be appreciated in other ways, like acts of service, right? Oh, I'd rather you cook dinner. I'd rather you bake me a apple pie. Oh, with caramel on? No, I can't. But you're looking at those situations about, I'd show appreciation if you groceries once in a while. Again, act of service. So I want people to be able to break it down to, more specifics. What do these things mean? What type of services are important to you when you're talking about acts of service? I'm honest, okay? But you have to get more specific instead of generalize, because you both might be talking two different languages, okay? Your ideas of affection could be totally different. Your ideas of making each other feel appreciated, making each other feel important could be totally different, right? Oh, to feel important, I want quality time together. And one's like, oh, we had quality time. We had 10 minutes, right? That's quality time. And the other one's like, what? That's nothing. So you have to be more specific what it looks like to both of you, okay? So, and going back to backtracking a little bit, when I said about the 5 love languages are a myth, I said the foundations, like I'm talking about, are important. I'm not going to say they're not. It's when it comes down to repairing the relationship or marriage, the 5 love languages might play a role in it a little bit, but they don't do anything to earn really trust back, to earn, try to earn respect back if possible, to try to heal the situations and any type of betrayal. It could be, talking behind each other's backs to family members, to friends about one another. Yeah, I'm showing you I love you and all this stuff, but where is the genuine remorse, the guilt? Where is the compassion? Talk to people often, right? Greg, I want to know a technique. They're all about, I want to know technique. I want to know how to do this. And I said, you can do a great technique, but is there heart and soul behind it? Is there meaning behind it? And a lot of people, I want to be more compassionate. And it's like, and how does that make you feel? Like I want to puke, right? There's no heart behind it. There's no love, no care, no concern. So if you do a technique, what good's that technique if there's no meaning behind it? So I'm huge at that. And even, when helping out new therapists, new counselors in the field about this too, you're so worried about, I'm not saying, strategies, techniques are not important, but you have to have a reality check. You have to have that heart and soul behind it. And, like I said, they gave the example earlier about affection. Oh, I want more hugs. I'd like you to hug me at least 2-3 times a day. And, okay, I hugged you. That's one hug. Hugged you again. There's 2. But you're not feeling it, It's out of obligation. It's out of, I got the technique, right? There's no heart behind it. So that's going to defeat those situations. And I want people to understand that with the 5 love languages, those are huge, okay? I followed your advice, Greg, and now my wife wants to divorce me. I got to hear this. What happened? I want to know what was going on, because I have no idea what is happening, okay? When you followed my advice, I want to know what advice. And then some people take things out of context, where a lot of people, and I'm sorry, I want people to be happy, okay? I want people to be happy. But now we're looking at, what is happening, what is going on. And for people to go ahead and say that, I want to know, what specifically wants that. Why does the wife want a divorce? And a lot of times, I'm going to be honest, a lot of women, if they want a divorce, they've been thinking about it for a long time. At least, I tell people, at least a year. And that's minimal. Most of the time it's been 2 or 3 years at least. But I need to know more information, and I'm deeply sorry about that, okay? But that's where I'm looking at. It's hard because, with couples counseling, you have to look at one person goes into it with one goal and the other one goes into it with another. One person goes into it, I'm just going through the motions to say I did couples therapy or, advice. And then the other one, is doing everything. They're doing all the work, and the other one's just going through the motions. It's not going to work, okay? But you have to give me more to go on. What happened, and I'm so sorry. And sometimes, you have to look at, as a divorce, is it healthier for both people, and what is going on, okay? And first of all, I want to know who you are. And to do a blanket statement like that, you have to give me more to go on. My best advice is to keep Greg out of your marriage. And that is, like I said, I'm honest. I don't hide from anything. But I'd have to look at who you are, number one, and also what was going on that created the divorce situation, okay? And again, I'm not about being biased. Some people, it's all about them, and they have a hard time looking at themselves and taking accountability. Sometimes the damage has been, too little, too late, that type of situation. So that's where I'm looking at. You have to give a lot more people, to go on. And I'm looking at also, I'll ask you, what did you do to cause your wife to want a divorce? I'm going to be honest, right? I'm going to look at what is the wife, what is the husband doing to cause their partner to want a divorce? And number one, what is being done to fix it? And it's not a blanket statement. Is it consistent? So those are the situations where you have to look at what's happening and what is going on, okay? So to do slanderous remarks like that, I respect that. I respect that situation, but there's so much more to it than just doing, blanket statements in those type of situations, okay? And sometimes, everybody assumes it's got to be somebody else's fault. But you also have to look at the whole context of the relationship. And I tell people all the time, it's not my decision if the marriage lasts or not, it's yours. But I help you get to that situation. And I'm going to be honest, not every situation is the same. You have to look at, not every marriage can be saved. Not every marriage should be saved, but it's up to each couple. Not only each couple, it's up into each individual within that couplehood that wants that, right? So you're looking at generalizations and assumptions. You can't. You got to get specific. If you listened earlier, I said that. You have to get more specific and get away from generalizations. And more specifically, what is happening, what is going on in the relationship or marriage, and, what is happening, what is needed to repair it, what is needed to repair specifically, what is needed to repair, build up resentment, hurt, pain, those type of aspects, okay? And that's where you have to look at what is happening, what is going on, and, what strategies, what tools are being taken place, what's happening, even, not only in the counseling session, but also what is being put in place outside the relationship. You know what? One person goes in, I'll try this, and they already have their mind made up that they're going to be done. And like I said, they're just going through the motions, but you have to, right? I'm not about assumptions. I'm not about generalizations at all. I want to know. I want to ask. I don't assume how anybody feels. I don't assume So, what you're throwing out there, and you're still not revealing your name. That's odd. And, but also giving, more insight, more in depth about what was happening. But I ask people all the time, even with couples, in the first session, I'm asking, hey, what do you do to cause problems in a relationship? And a lot of times, she might say, well, he does this, he does this, he does that, or she does this, she does that. And I'm like, whoa, back up. I want to know what you both do to cause problems in a relationship and what is needed specifically to heal it. So the 5 love languages can come into play because you need to know what each other needs to feel loved, to feel respected, right? One person might, man or woman, you know what, I really need you to stop going to the bar 5-6 nights a week. And then they don't do that. And then their husband or wife wants a divorce. And then it's everybody else's fault, but their own accountability. I mean, that's an example, right? Or one person is, you know what, I'm not going to be living in a sexless marriage, and I want us to have healthy. I want to be connected, that type of situation. But if that other person doesn't want intimacy or even work on the root or what's going on, if there's past trauma, if there's, depression, anxiety, if there, other stuff that's going on, relationship issues, you're not feeling connected. And if that person doesn't want to work on it or do something different to help heal that, then you have to look at what do you do? And then that's where one person looks at those situations about, it's got to be somebody else's fault. No, you're right. I never go after generalizations or assumptions at all. Very, very specific. And that's what I said even at the beginning of this episode, is to be more specific, to go after that situation and understand specifically what is happening. So, a lot of people they'll bash me if the marriage doesn't work out. I get that, and it's heartbreaking. I'm not going to yell, scream. It's devastating. But you also got to look at, were the things put in place? Was that person even trying? And were they trying with what works and, to work on the marriage? And again, or the relationship, if it ends, you have to look at what was going on. Was there a conversation? Or with one person, bringing it up and they get defensive? And that's not going to build and bridge and heal a relationship or marriage at all. It's just going to cause it, if they stay together, to be miserable. And if they, it's going to cause its demise. So a lot of people might have a huge assumptions, and, you have to look at what's happening and what's going on. Not assuming. You have to talk. So a lot of people, one behavior, right? Your partner, your wife, your husband, girlfriend, their behavior might appear like one thing. That doesn't mean they're doing what you think they're doing. And that's where communication comes in. And I'm not about people lying to each other. I'm not about people bashing each other, that type of situation, or manipulating. It's about being open and honest to each other, okay? So, I got to cut this a little short. I have clients coming in. So check out my website, The Art of Relationships, .org. And I appreciate you tuning in and joining in. And again, you can catch the Art of Relationships show every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern time at LoveGuruGreg, all over social media. And check out YouTube, like I said earlier, at LoveGuruGreg. You can check out the episodes out. Probably the easiest. They're in order and a lot easier to do that, okay? And again, if you have issues, reach out, text me, call me, email me, anything I can try to do to help, okay, people? Peace and love. Take care. Bye-bye.